You need to think that SAP is much smarter than you, okay? Because they are smarter. It's a company, and you are an individual. So there will be some standard solution that has been built. Probably SAP doesn't have not provided, means publicly given that. You need to explore. That's a very important thing, because when you explore, you learn lots of new things. Okay. So 80 to 90% of the time, a standard solution would work. Okay. Now, if it doesn't work, then what you can do is you have this standard solution, then you can extend the standard solution. That's the best thing you can do.
Thanks so much for joining another edition of the Never-Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement for Companies Running SAP. Today, we have the immense pleasure of welcoming Argadip, and
Thank
he
you.
is an associate director with Deloitte, and he's focused around OpenText FIM and the pay invoice processing part of Procure to Pay. He's got a YouTube channel that you really have to check out. We'll link that up in the comments because he's invested a huge amount on Community Network and on YouTube to go and share knowledge. So big appreciation for everybody like yourself that are out there doing that. And then you've got years of experience in SAP materials management, and then SRM, and now even more recently getting into AI. Argadip, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure, John, to
That's
come in here.
awesome. So we were talking about some of the things that, we wish more people knew and were able to take advantage of. And over our careers, if you've been doing SAP for more than a few years, you've probably forgotten more than you know. And
Exactly.
we can't memorize it all. So we've got to learn how to learn and share what we've learned and make it easier for people to follow the trail that we've left. How do you do that, Argadip? And what story would you share to help others?
Yeah. So this is a true story. So I used to work in IBM, and it was in 2007. I had a chance to go to Geneva for a client called Firmenich, and trust me, and there I was working as an architect, workflow architect, and they told me to build a workflow for SRM-PO. I went there, and guess what? If you don't know SRM-PO, you might say, okay, I can use the same T code. The T code is ME23N. Guess what? The T code says it doesn't exist. And then the client says, welcome to SRM. I said, what the heck? And then the partner promised that I will be presenting, and they hyped me that he's an architect, he knows everything. And the next day I have to present something on something that I don't know nothing. So then in the night, the whole night I was looking, Googling here and there and there. And eventually I presented something, and the same guy
No
said,
pressure, right?
yeah, the same guy said, you turned out to be an expert now in one day. I said, yeah. And then I realized, probably I need to learn new things, share things. So then what I started doing in SAP Developer Network, I contributed. I was a top contributor for like 3-4 years. And then I went to US, and my priorities changed. Actually, I was just slacking up on this. And then what happened is, like 5-6 years ago, I was stuck on something. And then I was searching, and then I got the answer. Like, you go to the SAP community, you get the answer. And I saw, okay, I was probably thinking, who is the giving the answer? Guess what? It was me who gave that answer 10 years ago. And it was me who got that answer from there. And then I said, probably I should be starting to doing this, because this, our brain is, the hard disk is getting smaller, and because we have more things to add. So then I started sharing things, small videos, small documents was hard, because it's very hard to have a website or something, because it goes away. But the YouTube channel, it's free, so I started uploading, and then it helps me a lot. Actually, I do it for myself, and then I give it to the others, and they like it, share it. And then there are certain people who have more knowledge than a lot of people, but they don't share. So you have to just poke them with my videos, and then they will say, you can do this by this also. I said, okay, thank you, now I know. So it's something like that. So it really helps.
I love it. I love it. Obviously, we have a shared passion for helping other people
Yeah.
learn from what we've picked up along the way and helping connect to share with more people. the more answers we can give away for free, the more
Yeah,
people we can help. And I think that's
exactly, exactly.
one of my
Yeah,
favorite things. That I think led into options and sharing, because there's oftentimes somebody in an organization running IT, running procurement, supply chain, wherever, they might want to say, "Hey, just tell me how we need to do this." But that's really an abdication of their ownership and responsibility of
right.
their business and their function in the business. And what we've I think we both agree this is one of those really important things, to provide options to those
Exactly,
people, and then it's up to them to choose. And sometimes there's a
exactly.
recommended option, or sometimes there's a, hey, you really need to pick between these two or these three options, and here's the pros and cons of each, but listen, this is up to you, you pick. What have you seen that would help more people successfully present options and help the folks at organizations that are running SAP make those decisions? And what should somebody at an organization running SAP expect? What should they ask for? What does good look like?
Yeah, yeah. So it's very important, to be honest. Um, most of the companies are spending millions and millions of dollars doing this transformation or bringing you in. Okay, they don't want a single answer. They want options. This world is all about options. Okay, if you go to the school, you see multiple choice question. They don't want the normal way, right? It's multiple choice question. So you need to give options. It's like going to imagine you go to a restaurant and you want a steak. Okay, or you want something other than steak. You want fish or something, but you want going to a restaurant and this guy say who is serving, there's only one steak and it's only well made, and otherwise there's nothing. So imagine what type of impression you will feel. So the same impression this your customers is feeling when you see this is the only answer. There's no other answer. It means imagine the number four. You can come to number four in a lot of ways. Two plus two is four, three plus one is four. Give them the option. Let them brain it out. At least when you are giving them the option, they can say this guy has worked on it. They thought about us. They have built the pros and cons, and then you dish it that for our thing, recommendation, you can do this. When you give them this, you are empowering them, and that makes them feel very much important, though you
It
are
does.
influencing it. It's about importance. People have become a little bit personal nowadays, but you need to give them the power. Let them feel it that, oh, they are the boss. At the end of the day, they are the boss. Let them decide. You can influence them. So it's very important you give the options, and when you create those options, you again go through brainstorm your solution also. Because when you think, the the problem with any solution is the architect thinks this their solution is the best. When you think your solution is the best, no, there's always a better solution.
That's
Okay,
when ego's gotten in the way of
exactly,
the best
exactly.
solution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So that's very
it's so
important.
important for more people to remember. It's more important to
Yeah,
find the right answer than it is to be
exactly,
right.
exactly. So it can come from another person, because imagine you try to be wise, listen to them, and you know give the information whenever needed. Just don't stop them and say, "Oh, I know everything." No, probably not.
Yeah, if you're at a client and somebody has told you that they know everything,
Yeah,
you could just send them packing now, because
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, what, more than 20 years? If this was all of SAP, I still only know
Yeah,
about this much, and all of
exactly,
this brand
exactly.
new and changed every year.
Yeah, every
So
year it changes. Yeah, so this is
it's
very
it's
important.
beautiful.
So
The other thing that I love is when people can bring a set of recommendations, and one of those options is often kind of a process perfect or technically perfect, but there's other things going on in the organization that maybe make the technically or process perfect option unpalatable, and then you have to compromise on what that is. And this is sometimes one of the things that I see a lot of SAP professionals get a little stuck on. Well, this is perfect, this is the best practice, this is the way. And then when you have to compromise on that to get, I'll call it the teaspoon of sugar to help the medicine go down, or to help the organization be able to adopt it, that's often one of the stumbling blocks that people can get stuck on, of feeling
Yeah,
like the best practice or the only one way is the only way that could work. You've seen this too, is where that's the mark of somebody that is not just good, they're great, is they
yeah,
can roll
exactly.
with that stuff and help find a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
answer.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is very, very important. There is the best practice, but always not the best practice works everywhere. If you have a client which is doesn't follow the process properly, the best practice can be the worst practice. You will not give them,
Because if
and
you
if
took them from where they are now and said, "Great,
yeah.
you're going to use best practice," they might blow up that part of their business.
Yeah, and I said my business process doesn't look. I remember I built a process where I was automating workflows everywhere. But then I came to know this company, this approvers never logs into the system. You give them everything, anything, and everything, they will not log in, and they say I work with a signature, physical signature, and that is my approval. So when I was trying to force them, they said it will fail miserably. So what we said, okay, we are giving you both the options. When your client, when your managers are fine of using the system properly, they can use it. For now, use this. Okay, that's another option. And they were happy. Okay, yeah, yeah, let me go. That's fine.
Yep. Those kind of options and steps towards the
Mm-hmm.
bigger, better solution, they
Mm-hmm.
might aspire to that longer term, but they're not ready to get
Right,
there. And helping
right.
them on the journey is again, it's the difference between good and great. I love
Yes.
the story. The other thing is in the way that we think about that, it's very easy to open up the debugger or SE80 and say, "Oh, here's how it works. We can insert our new thing at that point." But I think we both agree you start with the functional before you even think about the technical. What advice would you have for folks that are needing to build that muscle and get better at understanding the functional? Because maybe the training that they took or the experience that they had didn't arm them with that knowledge. What would you encourage people to do to make sure that they're studying, they're searching, they're learning about the functional to help create a better recommendation there before they look at opening up SE80?
Yeah, I think the first important thing, it's a mental thing. It's a mental block. First, you need to think that SAP is much smarter than you. Okay, because they are smarter. It's a company, and you are an individual. So there will be some standard solution that has been built. Probably SAP doesn't have not provided, means publicly given that. You need to explore. That's a very important thing, because when you explore, you learn lots of new things. Okay, so 80 to 90% of the time a standard solution would work. Okay, now if it doesn't work, then what you can do is you have this standard solution, then you can extend the standard solution. That's the best thing you can do. Okay, then you can ask and stand again. Extending a standard solution, I have seen lots of times, you can do through simple configuration, so you don't need to build an app. There's lots of ways. I'm just giving an example. In FBL1N, you need to put a selection screen criteria. You don't need to do anything coding. It's just a logical database. You have to maintain some table entry, and that's it. It will work. Okay, but people think I have to create a selection screen entry and code and all those things. It's wrong. And the last thing that I have seen, and the worst thing, and that becomes the first thing, is they create a Z version of the standard T code. Come on, why you want to even build it?
Yep.
And you're messing everything up. You are messing the authorization object. You're messing all the new features that is going to be built by SAP. To be honest, if you have FBL1N, which is a standard transaction, or ME2K, there are so many fields they are going to update, they are going to enhance, and all those things. Why you want to create a Z? If you're creating a Z, you will lose all those standard things that is getting updated through the support pack and all those things. So you are at soup. So all these things you have to see. So this is very, very important. And also sometimes I have seen the functional also doesn't have that so much knowledge. So as a technical person, you are an abapper, you love to code, I know. But also try to think, if there is something standard, why not tell the functional, hey, because to be honest, I have done lots of debugging, and every developer will say, I have done lots of debugging to find what config table needs to be maintained. So that explains that the functional is not competent enough or doesn't know. So in those cases, you can do that, because you can build a code, but to find if there's a standard solution, why you want to build it.
That's the more
It's
elegant way, isn't it? I love thinking about it in terms of a tree, right? And if
yeah,
SAP's going this way and growing up, and you branch
yeah,
off and you make your own custom transaction code, you're over
yeah,
here now. You've lost
exactly.
all of the new growth and everything else
All
that's
of this.
coming.
Yeah,
So if you have a way to avoid doing the full-on custom thing where you end up with
yeah,
kind of a dead-end branch, or you have to
yeah,
then go and keep building and building and investing, if you can find a way to have something that tucks in
yeah,
inside
yeah.
there as an add-on, that has been keep it standard, and then out from there you have the add-ons that are certified
Hmm.
and upgradable, and then think about other types of customizations. And I think that's one of those time saving things where
Yeah,
some folks feel like they're so special. Just like you said, that of course somebody somewhere has done it before. So how do we create the opportunity to buy that
yeah,
and keep
exactly.
it supported and upgradable instead of creating another custom dead end branch on their
Yeah,
solution
yeah,
that it's just technical debt waiting to happen?
exactly.
If you had
Yeah.
one last thing that you wanted to leave all of those functional and technical consultants out there in the SAP world and the ecosystem, what would your advice be to help them go from good to great as a member of the community and to help more customers more effectively?
I think from being a good to great is don't think that you know everything. That's the first problem I see always. They say, "Oh, I have done 20 years of thing. I know this." So no, you probably don't
Don't
know.
hit
You
me
know,
with your 14.4 dial-up modem.
yeah. Don't give me this. There would be always a better solution, and that's the thing. When you challenge them, the good becomes a great when he doesn't take it personally and he improves himself rather. He goes there, he tries to learn. You will see there are people who are learning all the time, which is very important. There are
Absolutely.
people who thinks that I've worked in places where there was this 72 years old person who is learning still SAP, new, coming to me and saying, "Oh, how can you build some scripting tool or something?" And then there was this 30-year-old kid who is working under SC and said, "I have done my engineering and I'm not going to study more." I said, "What the heck? You're getting paid to, work, paid to learn, to be honest, So all these things, so you always think there's a better solution and then go for it, take it as a challenge. It's like, you go to a restaurant and you try the same food. It becomes boring. Try
Yeah.
something different,
Try
try some
something new.
different solution, right? So
I,
it's like
I
that.
I love that. So, Argid, what I think I was just hearing is basically one of the premises, when like deep down inside of the never-ending climb, the most fundamental idea is keep learning, keep growing, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
build a better you than you were yesterday, than you were,
exactly,
10 years ago,
exactly,
5 years ago. Keep
exactly.
learning, keep growing. I
Yeah,
love it. Argid,
yeah.
thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
today.
Greg. Thank
And
you. Thank you. To,
if you want to follow Argidip on LinkedIn and on YouTube, I encourage everybody to do that. Thank you so very much for joining. And
thank
this has
you.
been another edition of The Never Ending Climb
Thank
for a
you.
stronger supply chain and procurement for companies running SAP. And I'd encourage everybody to check out our add ons for SAP because it'll save you from building something that's already
Oh, yeah.
built. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. You too. Bye.